Sponsors tonight. Big shout out to John from Extreme Dragons, Travis from Kuhl Dragons, Steven from Sapphire Dragons, Coolin from Superfly Dragon Guy, Jason from High Desert Dragons, Christy from JK Dragons, Ryan from Fryzies Reptiles, and Anthony from Gold Line Cresties. He's in here right now, actually. Say what's up to him. Go give all those people a follow, guys. They make the podcast possible. So let's get our guest in here.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Doing absolutely lovely, man. Happy to be here.
Cool. It's 7 o'clock your time, right?
Yes, sir. 7:06.
Nice. Yeah, I seen you hit me up. I was like, oh, I know. I'm an hour behind you.
Right?
So close, yet so far behind. So, you guys, tonight's the first of the series, Dragons and Beyond. So the whole point of the series is to bring on some breeders of other species to just talk about that other species besides bearded dragons. Not everybody only keeps bearded dragons, and some people want to get into other species. So we're just going to talk about it tonight. I can tell you right now, I don't know much about leopard geckos. I think Raptor and Blizzard are like the only genetics I really know about. Those are real, right?
Yeah, no, totally, bro. Totally. So there's a bunch of different raptors out there, you know what I mean? Because it's combined with other genetics and stuff. So you got like your high contrast raptors, and then, you know, you can get raptors from other lineages. So like you can get raptors out of red stripes that have eclipse in them, you know what I mean? What a raptor basically is a Tremper albino that has the Murphy's patternless gene and the eclipse in it as well.
Sheesh. Talking big things right there. No, I know some of what you were just saying, but that sounds crazy. It's way crazier than what I thought it was gonna be like. So, is Blizzard a real one?
Yeah, Blizzard's a real one as well. Blizzard's a real one as well. But actually, Junior's Geckos, who's watching right now, produced a really, really nice Blizzard this last year, man. And I would say that his is like the definition of what a Blizzard is like. It's like pure white, has a nice, good color tone to it. You know, it's almost pink. It's a really cool gecko.
Nice. Yeah, so I guess my first question would be, you know, getting into leopard geckos, how easy are they to handle and keep?
So, I mean, handling, I would say leopard geckos are among like the top 5 best first reptiles you could ever have. You know what I mean? There's bearded dragons, leopard geckos, ball python, crested geckos, and then you got like your corn snakes. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. As far as handling goes, you always are going to have your ones that want to get out of your hands and are running all over the place. You know what I mean? But I've also got some geckos that are extremely calm and will literally just sit there in your hand. You know what I mean? And don't really do too much moving.
Nice. And they don't need like basking lights or anything, right?
No, so these guys are totally good with underbelly heat. Lighting is actually can be harmful for their eyes because these guys are what's called crepuscular, so they come out at dusk and dawn. And the light isn't very bright around those times, you know what I mean? So bright light can definitely be harmful for them.
Well, good to know. So, yeah, now what is like the most popular? So the only thing I do know is people get into it because you can breed your own genetics pretty quickly. Like you can turn around projects pretty fast.
I would say that's somewhat true and somewhat not. I would say the good projects that are out there that have really solidified a name and a phenotype for themselves take at least 5 to 10 years, if not longer, to create. You know what I mean?
And you start breeding them at like a year old?
I would say a year is like the safe spot. You know what I mean? You want to do at least a year old and over 55 grams is when you want to breed. But I mean, a lot of people do it before and they go just by the weight, you know? So I guess it's whatever the breeder feels comfortable. But for me personally, I like to wait till they're as close to a year as possible and at least over 55 grams for sure.
Nice. And like, yeah, someone's asking, what temps and humidity do you keep them at?
So temperatures, I have all my racks set to 93. So in the back on their warm side, they've got that hot spot of around 93 degrees. And then the ambient up front usually stays around like 75 to 80, you know what I mean? Don't necessarily. My phone just gave me a notification that it's dying. But as far as humidity goes, these guys really don't need like a crazy amount of humidity. What we do is we give them a humid hide that they can go into when they're shedding, and they'll go and hang out in there, you know what I mean? But yeah, as far as humidity goes, I wouldn't necessarily keep like an ambient humidity in their enclosure.
And how did you get into leopard geckos? Like, what made you decide leopard geckos over everything else?
Honestly, bro, I was that 8-year-old kid walking through Petco, looking at all the reptiles, you know what I mean? Buying dog food, you know, and just looking at them. And I saw a leopard gecko and they're $30. And in my head, I'm like, all right, that's like 3 weeks worth of allowance. I can totally do that. You know what I'm saying? So I saved up my money, and it didn't happen as quick as I thought it would. So like I said, I saw it, wanted one at about 8 years old. And I got my first leopard gecko when I was 11, or no, 10 actually, when I was 10. And like I said, I mean, it was just one of those things that I had it already set in my head that that's what I wanted. So I saved up, you know, got what I needed to get for it, and just went there. And then breeding, I started reading books like this and watching YouTube videos that like Ron Tremper and Matt Baranak at Sasselbeck Reptiles would put out, you know what I mean? And it got me more interested in breeding and stuff like that. So my first actual successful attempt at breeding leopard geckos, I was 11, and I incubated them in an EG's ranch fries container on top of a heat mat with no fat on the heat mat. Just
awesome.
A
People don't even know about that, bro. EG's is something only in Arizona, if you guys know about it.
Tucson for the longest.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, no way. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
21 years ago, I left. Is when I left 21 years ago. I stayed there till I was about 7.
Nice. Well, you'll have to come back and visit sometime, man.
Yeah, my brother still lives out there, so I'll definitely come out there. John hates EG's. He says it's trash.
You don't like EG's?
He's a hater. It's all right, though. He hates on most of the good things in life that are healthy for you.
Right.
So yeah, I'll show you a black knight. Oh yeah, what is the black knight? So I've heard about it. What morph is that?
So, black knight is a line-bred melanistic trait. So it's not like a true melanistic, if that makes sense. You wouldn't find a black knight naturally occurring in the wild by chance, you know what I mean? But what it was this guy, Ferry Zermond, out in, I want to say Germany. No, yeah, maybe, I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. But Ferry pretty much started this project of just taking the darkest geckos and line breeding them together, you know what I mean? And over the course of 20 years, you got solid black leopard geckos. So black knights obviously come in like grades, as far as, you know, your darkest ones are going to be your really high quality stuff. And then the lighter stuff is going to, yeah, Junior's Geckos said the Netherlands. That's where Ferry's from. And then the lighter ones are low quality. And you can still get lighter animals out of a pure pair. But one thing that Junior and I have really been like kind of touching on in our conversations privately, and also with another big Black Knight breeder, is that a lot of people label things Black Knight that aren't Black Knight. To be a Black Knight, being that that is a line bred trait, animal has to show blackness. You know what I mean? It's not something that you can breed a Black Knight to a normal leopard gecko and it's still a Black Knight. You know what I'm saying? It just has Black Knight genetic influence. It's not a Black Knight yet.
And is that one of the more expensive ones that are out there that you can get into?
I would say it's one of the more expensive, and at the moment, it's probably the most desirable morph, you know what I mean? As far as like people see it and then they gotta have it, you know what I'm saying? But Black Knights range anywhere from, I would say your lighter stuff that comes from a pure pairing would be around like $750. And then like your solid black stuff, you're looking anywhere from like $1,000 for like some lower end stuff to all the way upwards of like 3 to 5K.
Damn.
Yeah.
Need to get into leopard geckos. Shit.
They're easy,
Black
man.
Knights.
An easy species to take care of for sure. And breeding, you know, it goes hand in hand. As long as you're giving them proper husbandry and doing due diligence and research, they're gonna produce.
So how many leopard geckos do you got right now?
At the moment, I currently have 23 breeders. Still a small collection, so just getting started, you know what I mean? But we'll get there soon.
What's your best one?
My best one, that I would say would probably be my pure female clown that was produced by Envy Geckos in California. And the reason I would say this one is my best one is just because I feel like she does a really good job representing the original lineage that was like took place, you know what I mean, in creating this.
Someone wants to know how many eggs they lay on average.
On average, I mean, I've got one that gave me 16 good eggs last year, and that's like normal for her. But I would say most of my geckos do anywhere from 6 to like 8 eggs.
And is that like all at one time or monthly? Like,
no,
you said over a year.
Yeah, so these guys breed year-round, but they lay them around every couple months. So they have multiple clutches. You'll usually get anywhere from 4 to 8 clutches is pretty typical. And each clutch consists of 2 eggs, and then about 3 to 4 weeks after that, you know, they have another clutch.
And so do you just leave the male and female all year long?
No, so a lot of people think that leopard geckos can be housed together, and they're just like bearded dragons, you know what I mean? They're very rough breeders, and they can be very territorial, you know what I mean? They're solitary creatures. You won't lift up, if you were walking around in Iran, you wouldn't lift up a log and find leopard geckos all together, you know? So, as far as that goes, no. But what I do is I'll typically pair the male with the female for about an hour or so, and I sit there and I watch, you know what I mean? And if I don't confirm a lock, then I'll go ahead and leave them overnight, and then the next morning I'll pull the male. I just repeat the process over the course of a couple days and weeks, you know what I mean, until that I know that the female's fertilized. And then if she's just not taking, I won't repair that female to another male, just in case the male did get some in there.
And you said they're sexually mature about a year old, right? Like that.
Yeah, I would say sexually mature about a year old, and the weight thing is the biggest thing about it, you know what I mean? As far as sexual maturity, I'm sure these guys are sexually mature long before, but as far as being safe for them to breed, not necessarily. You know what I mean?
What's the weight usually? You talked about that. What weight should they be?
I personally do anything over 55 grams. So, but I have a lot of really big and range anywhere from 65 to 80 grams. So
pretty big. And you so you keep them in like a rack, just like ball pythons, right? Like
Yeah.
just a small.
So this is what one of the racks look like. This one was made by sea serpents, and then that's another one. These are some open racks that we don't have filled yet, but they will be very soon. But yeah, I just keep them in a rack like that.
And so you've been doing this since 2019?
No, so as far as breeding leopard geckos, I would say I've had the knowledge and the experience. I mean, I did it a little bit after the first time I ever did when I was 11, you know what I'm saying? But I never got too deep into the genetics. I would say around 2019 towards the end of 2020 is when I really started focusing on like the genetics and stuff like that, and made the choice to rehome some of my pet quality animals and replace them with stuff that has known lineage, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so since you've got a bong in your hand, bro, I'm grabbing my phone charger.
For sure.
Can I get a phone charger, please?
Everybody,
Phone charger?
I don't have one. Sorry, real quick, so it doesn't
You
die.
guys will-
All your eggs, all your questions together, so we can get all the.
Will you bring it in there for me? Sorry about that, man. So just to clarify, my reptile room I rent out of a storefront, and it's completely separate, but the storefront is a smoke shop. But I do have my entire room sealed off, so there's never any like smoke near my animals or anything like that, because I know some people are weird about
people ask me that. They're like, "Hey, do you get your bearded dragons high?" And I'm like, "No, not that I know of. Like, they don't act any different." And I got a carbon charcoal filter, so
Yeah, I was gonna say air purifiers are the way to go.
Anyways, back to leopard geckos.
Nitty gritty.
What's the most you produced in a year? Like, what was your best year? Like last year?
I'm gonna go ahead and turn you sideways for a bit. Last year, I had 15 hatch from one. I would say. Do you want just last year or in total?
And I mean, if you know how many you've hatched
in total, I would say I've produced at least over 35.
35.
Like, yeah, from 2011 till now, which isn't a lot, you know what I mean? But like I said, I didn't invest the money and the time into it until after I'd moved out and got my own house and stuff like that.
Cool. And if you could like invest into a morph right now, what would that morph be?
Are you asking, because there's some that I would buy just simply by the looks, but not as like a business move, if that makes sense.
It doesn't have to be a business move, just something that you want to. I guess not. I guess I shouldn't use the word invest. What is a morph that you don't have right now that you do want to add?
I really, really want to work with some of the copper stuff. A lot of the people in Europe are working with it, and I have a good buddy over there named George at Elite Geckos that he's going to be sending me some hopefully soon.
You said the coppers?
Yeah, coppers, bro. They're an albino line that has like literally just a copper orange color to them. They're so unique looking, and you can, if you were to put them with any other like Tremper albino, you could definitely pick a copper out, in my opinion.
Nice. So there's like so you can't do Tremper to Tremper, right?
No, you can do Tremper to Tremper. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to cross albino lines because they're undistinguishable. So like Rainwater, Bell Albino, and Tremper Albino are the three. And if you were to put all three together, unless someone told you, you'd probably get it wrong picking out which one's Tremper, which one's Bell, which one's Rainwater. You know what I mean? So that's the golden rule. You just never cross those because it muddies up the genetics way too much.
John from Extreme Dragon said, any zoological issues people that are looking to keep leopards that already keep dragons might run into?
Any zoological issues? As far as like parasites or like viruses and stuff like that?
Sure.
As far as I know, the only like golden rule of animals that you keep away from bearded dragons is uromastyx. I've never heard of leopard geckos being housed next to bearded dragons or around them being an issue.
Nice. So there's no crazy diseases that leopard geckos have?
Not that I'm aware of. Obviously, leopard geckos can get crypto, but I'm pretty positive bearded dragons can get that as well. And like for me, I always just have a bottle of hand sanitizer and I'll go through and sanitize between touching animals. Just preventative, you know.
And Fryzies Reptiles wants to know what your thoughts on the Eclipse morph is.
I absolutely love the morph. So for those of you that don't know, Eclipse is basically the pied gene or what can give leopard geckos the pied look. Personally, like I said, I really like it. I like pied animals to begin with, and the Eclipse also does a cool thing with their eyes where they can get snake eyes or like partial snake eyes, and it looks really neat. Actually, I have one I can show you real quick.
Those guys might have to give me some leopard geckos.
Sorry that I have the camera turned sideways. It's just so I can have my phone plugged in. But you see that eye? How weird the pupil looks. And then if you look at this one. And this one is a Max Snow Eclipse.
Max. So that's another one that I see a lot of. So I went to a reptile show this weekend. I saw a lot of Max. I saw like some Mac Raptor crazy things. Like,
yeah, totally. So, like I said, Raptor in itself is its own morph, you know what I mean? And then it can be paired with other things. So like you said, a Max Snow Raptor, that's its own morph, you know what I mean? Tangerine Raptor, stuff like that. But Max Snow, so it's just like the albinos. There's Max Snow, Albi Snow, Tug Snow, and Gem Snow. And they're a little bit more distinguishable, in my opinion, than the albino strains are, or the albino lines are. But like Tug Snow and Max Snow are very, very similar looking, and it's also one of the golden rules that you just don't cross them, you know what I mean? Because it can get it way too hard to distinguish what animal is what.
Yeah, is there anything that can't be crossed that's like, you know, like it'll just cause problems?
I mean,
you know, like
so it's not like with
or something.
So it's not like with crested geckos where you do like lily white to lily white and it's fatal. But like if you have a white and yellow morph leopard gecko and you breed it to another white and yellow, you're essentially supering that. You know what I mean? And that can arise issues. A lot of people have this thing where they think white and yellow syndrome is like actually a syndrome or whatever, and it's some, I don't know if you're familiar with Enigma Syndrome in leopard geckos. No, well basically it's this thing that it's a neurological disorder where they spin and they like twirl and look all crazy, and stress is what brings those actions out in them. Yeah, it's pretty trippy to see.
Sounds great.
Yeah, dude, I mean, think of a leopard gecko on crack. That's pretty much what it looks like. But so yeah, like white and yellow,
right,
I would say.
You said that too, Trippy Lizzie joined in, so you're like leopard gecko on crack, and it's Trippy Lizzie joining.
Oh man, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, the only one I would say really is like white and yellow to white and yellow, and there's still breeders out there that do it, but I mean, personally, I would say it's just one to be careful with. And then, like I said, Enigma, that's just one that you just don't breed, period. Because it's known for having neurological issues, and you don't want to be passing on those genetics. Another one that I would say that's super, super, super important to mention is lemon frost, because there are still people out there working with it, like in other countries like Asia and stuff. And that gene in itself has been proven time and time again to cause cancer. It's pretty much melanoma and leopard geckos.
Shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
Damn.
they start growing all these tumors and all kinds of stuff. So
You said that was the lemon frost?
yeah, lemon frost. That's definitely one to stay away from.
Sounds, appetizing, but
Right? It's a cool looking morph for sure too, man. It's definitely got some like nice, unique look to it. But like I said, the cons outweigh the pros for sure.
So what's your favorite when you're like looking to get into a new morph? Do you like patternless stuff? Do you like more pattern? Do you like colored stuff, high colored, darker?
I would
colored?
say recently I've been on a pattern binge, like with the clowns and stuff. I really like the abstract, like funky looks that they have to them. You know what I mean? I definitely still have a love for my patternless stuff, like Black Knights, that stuff, the solid black, or like the blizzards, like you were mentioning. I definitely like those guys.
Yeah,
But
I
I would
saw
say
those
at the
those
moment,
are crazy. The blizzards are dope.
oh yeah, for sure. I definitely need to get a blizzard, and I need to get a solid Black Knight so I can take a picture of them.
The
side by
blizzard
side.
reminds me of like the Zero in Bearded Dragons.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
So I was like, and some of them were pretty expensive. I don't know if they had other genes in them or something, but I was like, Jesus.
Oh yeah,
I didn't
no,
even know
for
leopard
sure.
geckos were that expensive. Like you said, you bought one for $30. Like I was like, dang, leopard geckos. Like the most expensive one's probably like $100, right? And I looked at this guy's booth, and it was like $500, $800, $1,000. I was like, Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That pure clown that I showed you, that one.
So what's the clown morph? Explain that.
So clown is basically, it's super super controversial, I guess you would say, because it was never solidified as a morph, if that makes sense. It's a project, but it's a long ongoing project that is, I would say, probably now like 15 years deep. And it definitely has a solidified phenotype, but there will be some people out there that would disagree that it's a morph, you know what I mean? But basically what it was, this dude, Matt Baranek at Sapphire Reptiles, had like this vision for bringing out like greens and reds and stuff like that. And the clown was created by mixing, it was like a combination of raptors, red stripes, emerines, all kinds of stuff, bloods, you know what I mean? All kinds of stuff like that to create that final look in the animal. And I think what he was trying to achieve, and I could be wrong, I don't want to speak for the man, but to me, when I see a clown, I think of like a Picasso painting. You know what I mean? Abstract and like bright, captures your attention. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I would say that that's like what he was trying to get in that look. But like I said, it's technically not a morph. It's just a project, and he's actually getting ready. So he took about a pretty long break from breeding leopard geckos, and he's about to start back again with Clown 2.0.
The Clown 2.0.
Clown 2.0, and it's going to be called the Joker.
Oh, shit. Damn.
Yep. I'm
That sounds
excited
great.
to see it. It'll be pretty sweet.
So, you like the clown morph? That's something that you're getting into, or?
Yeah, I would say most of my collection consists of clowns, but yeah, I definitely love the clown morph. I mean, I'm for sure biased when people talk about it. But
Kuhl Dragons says he wants a Diablo Blanco. What is that?
Diablo Blanco, it's pretty much looks exactly like a blizzard, but a Diablo Blanco, if I'm correct, now I'm not too familiar because I haven't worked with blizzard or any of those genetics, so I've never taken the time to actually research it. But if I'm correct, Diablo Blanco is raptor and blizzard. I could be wrong. Junior, I think, knows. But I think it's raptor because it's got the patternless and the eclipse, and then blizzard mixed. But like I said, I could be wrong.
You said something about red eyes too.
Yeah, red eyes, that has to do the raptor, the Tremper albino. And then Blazing
Crazy.
Blizzard is an albino blizzard.
A red-eyed blizzard. That sounds wild.
Yeah.
Sounds expensive.
Honestly, bro, you could probably get a Diablo Blanco or a Blazing Blizzard for, depending on quality, anywhere from $200 to $400.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The name sounds expensive though, so
Right.
like people, just the name alone.
They were definitely popular back when they were first released, for sure. That was like the Morph, you know?
So is there like anything, any other species that you want to move into? I know we talked a little bit about bearded dragons, but have you even worked with anything else besides leopard geckos, or has it always just been leopard geckos?
Yeah, no, so I've owned, I mean, quite a bit of things. Like I said, I rehomed a lot of stuff once I kind of found like my niche and my passion of what I wanted to do and target that. But I've had bearded dragons before. I never bred them, but I've had them. I've got 3 different types of tortoises at home.
Nice.
I've got ball
Tortoise
pythons.
wise? I love tortoises.
I've got a sulcata, Russians, and redfoot.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm planning on getting a leopard soon. That's going to be my next one for sure.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm excited, bro. Leopard
I
tortoises are
think
where it's
someone
at.
with a leopard cotta. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
dude, I saw that thing. I don't know how I feel about it necessarily. I probably would rather have the leopard, but I think it's still really cool that they hybridized it.
Yeah, I thought it was. I like the name. It just sounds extra fancy.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I've kept a little bit of everything. I've had basilisks. I've had tree boas. I've had rainbow boas. I sold those. Definitely regret it. But me and my business partner and investor, we're going to get ready to start buying a lot more ball pythons, rainbow boas, stuff like that. And we're going to expand. You know, I don't want to just limit myself at leopard geckos. I will always have that main focus on them. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to be producing a little bit of everything. Because like I said, I don't just love leopard geckos. I love reptiles as a whole.
Was there a specific breeder when you were like getting into it that was producing, you know, like the top of the line stuff? Who was the breeder, I guess, that was at like the top of the game when you first got into it that kind of inspired you?
I would say the one that kind of inspired me was Echo Geckos, and that's Jay, and he's out there in the UK. And what inspired me was the man literally is a leopard gecko breeder. Doesn't necessarily post hardly. I mean, he's got crusty geckos and stuff, but he rarely posts them, you know. And this guy's got 90,000 followers, you know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily just like the follower base, but looking at it, I was like, all right, you know, what makes this guy so, like, what's the hype on it? And like I said, he specializes in breeding black knights. So he was one of the people that I was kind of looking up to. And that was more so on growing my page, you know what I mean? And getting more engagement and followers and stuff like that. But as far as like what I wanted to breed, I would say I always wanted to work with the clowns, you know what I mean? But the person that really kind of had me like sold on it would be Bubba at Bubba's Geckos and Nick at MV Geckos.
And so like they produce the best clowns.
I would say Nick at MV Geckos produces the best clowns that I know of, but I mean, now that Matt's breeding again, I mean, Morph Creator is always going to be top dog, dude. You know what I'm saying? He's the man that made the Morph, so his animals will always be the best of the best.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we'll go through some things for the people that haven't ever kept a leopard gecko. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making when they just keeping, not necessarily on a breeding level, but when people start keeping leopard geckos, what is the mistake you see a lot of people make?
The biggest mistake I see people make, and it's not even necessarily that people are making the mistake. It's a lot of these pet stores, local pet stores, don't really know, you know, proper care. Like obviously they do, but they're still going by an old standard, you know what I mean? As keepers, it's our job to constantly evolve and constantly improve our husbandry and stuff. And I would say one of the most common things that pet stores sell to new keepers is reptile carpet. I absolutely hate that crap, dude. It holds bacteria like crazy, you know what I mean? The animal's claws get stuck in it. It's just, I don't like it. That, or I would say keeping leopard geckos on sand. That's another one of those. And, you know, any animal can be kept on sand. Impaction is always a risk with anything. But, you know, if you're keeping your temps right and stuff like that, you shouldn't necessarily have to worry about it. But I still would not recommend keeping the animal on sand.
Yeah, so I actually went to, I think it's a PetSmart right around the corner from my house the other day. I was trying to get some substrate for my legless lizards.
Nice.
And I was like, fuck it, you know, I'm going to grab one of these care sheets because I'm going to do a podcast or something live where I just talk about the care sheets that these people have on bearded dragons. And, like, all the information is terrible. So I could just imagine, you know, what it is for any other reptile that they sell you, especially, like, the ones that need super crazy experience, like expert level experience. The care sheet's probably terrible.
Most terrible. And, you know, back to what you were saying, it's actually funny you say that because Petco, their care sheet tells you that leopard geckos need a basking lamp and a basking spot. You know what I mean? And like, so they don't even encounter that type of daylight in the wild. They're hunkered under a rock.
I wish I would have grabbed the leopard gecko one too, so I could have asked you all these questions. Like, is this the right thing to do? That would have been like the best thing to do.
No worries, bro. No worries. Next time, you know what I mean? But a good book, I would say, for anybody that's getting ready to get into leopard geckos or anything like that would be, you know, start looking at these books. Like this one, Ron Tremper is one of the authors in there, you know what I mean? And he's obviously the creator of the Tremper albino. A lot of people disagree with some of their keeping methods and stuff like that. But I would say as far as like just general husbandry, they're spot on with it, you know? They don't recommend sand. They don't recommend anything like that. It's the standard humid hide, warm hide, you know, carpet, or not carpet, paper towels, or like tile if you can get it, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
How many males to females do you keep? Like, can one male go to like 3 females? How does that work?
Realistically, bro, you can take that male to as many females as you want, but then that's when it becomes your job as the breeder to be ethical, you know what I mean? You got to give that male a break, got to give him time to rest, relax, recoup, regain some weight, because with leopard geckos, a lot of them will go off of food for that period that they're breeding, so they do lose some weight, and you definitely want to give them a chance to catch that back up so that they're not just continuously breeding themselves to death.
Well, that's good. So males won't eat if you're trying to breed them.
Typically, I mean, I have one dude that he's a pig. He'll eat no matter what. He'll go into the female's cage and he's immediately looking in her food bowl, not even interested in her.
That's too funny. Yeah, I got a bearded dragon that when I try to put him with females, if she has food left over, he'll definitely go take care of the leftovers before.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure. I would say this gecko is the same way. And he's also one of those that you just keep feeding him, he won't stop eating. I mean, I've had to put him on a diet before because he's gotten too chunky. It's crazy.
My spirit, Leo. John. So what's your favorite color? You know, bearded dragons, we got reds, yellows, oranges, everything. What's your favorite color of leopard gecko?
That's a hard one, man. I mean,
Is the clown multiple colors?
Yeah.
Is that what makes it clown, is that it's a mix of colors?
Yeah, so the clown usually has like some really, really nice orange highlights, and then it'll have like yellow and green undertones, you know what I mean? And this one, she's got like a lot of the green undertones. I don't know if the camera's picking that up.
I don't see the green, but I see the yellow and orange real nice.
Yeah, she's definitely got the yellow and the orange. And then if you look like closer to the base of the tail, it's like a deeper red even. You know what I'm saying? So as far as colors go, I mean, I like the clowns just because the multitude of colors that they do have. And like I said, I like that crazy abstract pattern. But I really do like the Black Knights, man. I mean, I am a fan of them. Some people aren't, you know, just because they think they're overhyped. But I think the fact that it took 20 years to create an animal like that definitely deserves some recognition and the hype. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think anything solid black will always be cool as shit. Like a solid black reticulated python, a solid black bearded dragon, a solid
totally.
Anything like the black dragon is way cooler than a regular water monitor, right? Like even and if you don't like the black one, you're definitely gonna like one of the albino ones. Like I don't know. I just think and like you said, it took 20 years to line breed that to get it to what it is today. That's pretty awesome.
That's what I'm saying, man. I feel like that deserves that hype and the recognition, you know what I mean? Because that's work right there. That's dedication. 20 years, year after year, you know, you're doing those projects, keeping track of all those genetics, you know, taking care of all those animals. I feel like it's well-deserved.
And who right now do you like look to for advice? Like, who do you have any mentors or anything that you look to in the community right now?
100%, bro. I would say my biggest mentor out there currently is Aaron over at Cenozoic Reptilia, and not even just in the reptile aspects, man. I mean, that guy just in general, he's a great mentor and a great person to talk to and a really good friend. So I would say he's my biggest mentor right now. But my other ones would be, you know, not necessarily mentors, but like I have friends, you know, and we kind of feed off of each other and provide each other information. Like Junior, for example, he is one of my closest friends in the leopard gecko hobby. And I mean, him and I were always talking about genetics and geckos and stuff like that. And I would say we both learn a lot from each other too. So I would consider him a mentor in a way. Another one I would Jay over at Echo Geckos and George at Elite Geckos too. Those guys are definitely some good mentors as well.
Nice. Well, that's it's always good to have, you know, a clique of people that you can look forward to for advice, you know, because you're the only guy I could look to right now for leopard gecko advice.
I'm your guy, bro.
New to me, bro. So you're my guy for leopard gecko. Anything
Dragons.
Is there anything new that's coming out that like has just come out recently? Because I personally just was listening to a Brian Barczyk podcast, right? And he had someone from on there that bred leopard geckos, and they were talking about how like so many morphs are coming out recently, and with bearded dragons, I don't want to say it's boring, but like there's nothing new necessarily coming out for a while.
No, totally. With leopard geckos, you know, I may be wrong, but I definitely feel like leopard geckos are about to reach that same level that ball pythons are at, where there's more species of snakes or more morphs of ball pythons than there is species of snake in the world. You know what I'm saying? I truly think that leopard geckos can reach that point, just because, like you said, I mean, there's so many people out in Asia, dude. A bunch of different morphs. Like right now, I would say one of the popular ones out in Asia is the Red Devil. That the first one just hit like U.S. Soil like 2-3 years ago. You know what I mean? And they've been working on that for a pretty good amount of time. I would say like Cypher too. That's another new one that just came out not that long ago. John, pretty much, that was a morph that was discovered based, I think it was an eye gene, or no, sorry, not Cypher. Marble Eye is another one of the new ones. So, like how it clicked.
Oh, nice. So there's specific genes that are just for like the eyes.
Oh yeah. So there's Eclipse obviously affects the eyes. But it's not just for the eyes, because like I said, it pies the body sometimes and things like that. But there's marble eye, there's Noor Dessar black eye, which is literally just like a black eye. And that one also can sometimes be an undesirable morph, just because there are some, I guess you could say, defects or like cons to it, you know, as far as health goes. But I feel like a lot of the breeders that are still working with that have a clean line.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the marble eye, I'm guessing, you know, just makes it look marbled.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Pretty much. But yeah, I mean, I personally think that there's plenty of morphs out there to create, you know what I mean? It just takes some work and a vision of what you want to see happen, and then make it happen.
So mixing the morphs, that changes it. So like you can't put a whiplet and another, I don't know, like a Wiro isn't that much different from a Zero or a whiplets. They're all kind of, you know, very similar. So if you put like you said, there's like Raptor, Blizzards, does that change? Are you changing specific like qualities of the dragon? Like, is it gonna physically show everything visually, or is it gonna just like, am I making sense?
Yeah, no, totally. So leopard geckos have hets also. And obviously, you know, a het means they possess or carry the gene, but they don't show it visually. With leopard geckos, though, like for example, so a good point you brought up, clown. Like I said, clown was made using raptors, bloods, emerines, red stripes, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And if you were to look at a clown, you couldn't sit there and pick out every single one of those genetics. If you were to have to pick one, I would say emerine would probably be the closest, just because it has that green tint and it's also a tangerine line. You know what I mean? But it's so, in my opinion, that's where it becomes different from ball pythons, because those people, they can look at something and be like, all right, I hit the odds and I got the 4 gene animal, you know what I'm saying, out of that pairing. Whereas with leopard geckos, it's, you know, there's definitely odds like that, but it's different, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to produce an animal that definitely shows every single one of those traits, you know what I mean?
That's why I love watching the ball python egg cutting videos, because they'll be like, I got a desert ghost, red stripe clown, sunset,
Able to pick it out. Like, how do you
spot nose, blackhead, and I'm like, what? How can you tell that? Like,
yeah, literally. Here's a good example of that. Actually, like I said, I'm starting to get into ball pythons, and my business partner and investor just got this one for us not that long ago. But like, so this is a banana cinnamon spider. And to me, you know, when I look at this, obviously because I'm new at ball pythons, I immediately noticed the banana in it. It's got lighter cream colored, you know what I mean, with the oranges, and it's got the little freckle spots all around it. But I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, now how do I know if this is cinnamon or not, other than just trusting the breeder, you know what I mean? Because I can't distinguish that mixed with the other one. It's one of those things that you definitely have to learn it.
yeah, bearded dragons are pretty easy. If it's visual for something, like, you know, it's a red, or if it's got color stripe, if it's a genetic stripe, like.
See, and that's
I guess some people
hard
can,
too. Say.
you know, can be good talkers and talk someone into something, but for the most part, you just know, like, it's pretty simple. It's laid out right there for you.
For sure, yeah. I would say that's pretty much the same way with leopard geckos too, you know what I mean? I would say it's pretty cut and dry, because you can have a Tremper animal, you know what I mean, a Tremper albino, and you can breed it with something non-albino or something that's het for albino, and you're going to get a couple, because you're going to hit the odds, if you hit the odds, you know what I mean? You'll get a couple albino babies out of that pairing, but you're also going to get a couple that are still just hets, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. So do you know how many morphs there are for leopard geckos? That's probably a crazy question.
Shoot, bro, if I'm being honest, I couldn't tell you, but now that you mention it, I feel like I need to know that. You know what I'm saying? I need to go and figure out how many morphs there actually are. But I would say John over at Gecko Boa on his website, on his genetics page, if you want to get into leopard geckos or learn about the genetics, man, that was like a huge help for me. I would say he's not necessarily a mentor because I haven't really talked to him, but his information has definitely um, provided me with a lot of the knowledge that I do have for leopard gecko breeding.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely check out his genetics page. He's got a good list of, you know, what combos make what. But like we got into, you know, Mac Raptors, for example, that's its whole thing, you know.
Yeah, no, it seemed crazy. Like just looking at some, like you go to a bearded dragon vendor at the super show or any show, right? They have like a few tubs or enclosures with some dragons in it, but I made it a point to find some leopard gecko people this weekend, and bro, they got like 500-600 leopard geckos to look at. I was like, dang, this is so
And they're all
overwhelming.
different. None,
Yeah.
like obviously there's some that look like, you know what I'm saying, but there's not going to be any of those ones that it's like you got a shit ton of that same animal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the only thing that I could differentiate, right, was like the black, the white, and then like the orange ones and yellow, and then I could see some had like orange and yellow, but I was like, dang, and all their tails are all fat. I'm like, these look like overweight bearded dragons. I don't know what's going on here.
Right. I will say, man, for reptiles, leopard geckos are definitely a fat little animal. I mean, you know, you're always going to get those ones that are picky eaters, but for the most part, man, mine are all pigs, dude. Anytime there's
And what
worms
do
in the
you feed
bowl.
them? What do you feed your leopard geckos?
So I try to give them a variety because variety is the spice of life. But, you know, just mealworms is their staple diet. And then once a week, I go and get them dubias. And then every now and then I'll give them like a hornworm or something. But I really try and stay away from crickets just because those are known to have parasites and can cause pinworms, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, crickets are annoying, but I do add them to my variety of diet, unfortunately. But they're so annoying. I'm so glad that my reptile room isn't like anywhere near my bedroom because
Right?
I
No,
heard
totally.
chirping. Well, and I got chickens. I don't know if you can hear them. They're annoying as shit right now.
Chickens. That's
Yeah, I got
awesome, dude.
silkies.
Oh, no way. Those are like the little fancy guys, huh? That got all the ruffled feathers on the bottom of their feet and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Since I brought it up, I'll show you where they at.
Dude, I definitely want to see one of these. I just wanted to say, too, thank you guys, everyone on here that's following me. I really appreciate all the support.
Hey, chill.
Is this one a baby?
Yeah. So that's why they're inside because they're too young to go outside and stay warm by themselves.
Dude, his feet are so cool. That is awesome, dude.
My Savannah monitor keeps eyeballing them like they're food. I'm like, nah, bro.
Oh, man. A lot of people do feed their Savannahs chicks, so I don't blame the Savannah.
Yeah, so I actually do buy them like quail, but I buy them from like the little flea market.
Yeah.
Quail eggs. So he gets lots of that, but can't have my silkies.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Those are some expensive chickens, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and they look awesome, man. They're like show chickens.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the feet that they have.
From a friend. Someone asked. I picked them up from a local breeder that I know that's a friend that has them.
Did you get those from what's it, Bolden Stripe, or who's the leopard? Is there a leopard gecko breeder that you got those from?
Me, no.
No, dude, there's this leopard gecko breeder in the community. I got to think of the name, but he breeds chickens. Him and his buddy
Nice.
breed chickens together, and they've got like all these fancy ones too. It's pretty cool.
Bro, chicken people are snobs. Like, I didn't even know. Like, honestly, I think bearded dragon people are like the only like community that I've ever gotten into that were like people weren't totally snobby. Like when we did dogs, everyone was a snob. It's all
Really?
about bloodlines and paperwork. Bearded dragons, it seems like the bar is so low. Like there's so many people that can just be a breeder nowadays, which I think I think people need to come to the realization that we all got in this to produce pets for other people. Like we're not all going to sell to other breeders. Breeders aren't the people that we're trying to sell to.
Most
We're
definitely.
trying to sell pets to kids, to other people to get them into this hobby. And I think a lot of people get caught up on, how much a dragon goes for to like another breeder, and it's like, man, that was like the best dragon out of the clutch. That doesn't mean like the rest of the clutch is anywhere near that. Like, you got to remember, most of these
for sure.
producing healthy pet animals is a good thing. Like, I don't know why people look down on it, but it's a good, I think it's a good thing if you're producing good healthy pet animals.
Oh, 100%. And especially too, I mean, like if they, I know you said necessarily not having like genetics or lineage, but like I know with bearded dragons they do somewhat have genetics. You know what I mean? You know the morph or of what it is, and I'm sure you've got records of the mom and dad and the grandma and grandpa, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I definitely agree with you on that, and I feel like leopard geckos are honestly, bro. I feel like people are like that a lot just because lineage definitely is important with leopard geckos. Where it comes from, you know what I mean? Definitely means a lot because there's people out there that, they can falsely name something and they can be sitting there selling you something, but in reality, they don't even know what it is. A common thing that I see so many people do coming into the hobby is, what morph is my leopard gecko that they got from Petco or the pet store? And it's one of those things that, you can kind of give them a guess, but like say it's an albino, I can't sit there and be like, that's Tremper. I don't know if that's Tremper, or if it's Bell, or if it's Rainwater, you know what I mean? And stuff like that does matter because you don't want to cross those, because at that point, then you don't necessarily know what you're selling too.
Yeah, don't
And
you love people get that Petco animal and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna breed it now. It's like,
most definitely. And
the
see,
worst
one thing I
idea.
will say that I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen is, obviously, I've got a lot of high dollar, high quality animals, but I don't want to just have those high dollar, high quality animals, because that not the average person can drop $950 on a leopard gecko or $1,000. You know what I'm saying? It's more so I want to be able to produce something for everybody. So the way I built my collection was kind of in tiers. I've got my bottom grade that's still very good animals, good genetics, you know what I mean? Just not as desirable of morphs, I guess you would say. And then I've
Yeah,
got like my middle grade stuff and then my top grade stuff. So that way I can provide to all types of people.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you got, a good business plan over there and you guys are doing things right. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and being the first person to start Dragons and Beyond with leopard geckos.
Most definitely, brother.
Experience what
Most
you're doing.
definitely. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was definitely a blast, and it's something that I would definitely be interested in doing again, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, for those of you guys that don't know, tonight's podcast we did all about leopard geckos, and from now on, once a month, we will be doing a new episode on a different species. We'll just be bringing on another breeder who does anything. It could be ball pythons, monitors, boas, anything. I'm going to try to get as many breeders for a variety of species as I can, so that we can spread our platform with other people and people spread their platform with us. So thank you again, Thomas, for coming on.
Thank you.
Showing us your collection, talking with us, teaching us some Morphs, lacing me up on game with Leopard Geckos. And let me give a real quick shout out to all of our sponsors tonight again. John from Extreme Dragons, Travis from Kuhl Dragons, Steven from Sapphire Dragons, Colin from Superfly Dragon Guy, Jason from High Desert Dragons, Christy from JK Dragons, Ryan from Fryzies Reptiles, and Anthony from Gold Line Cresties.
Heck yeah, man.
Another gecko that we're gonna be, spotlighting. Some Cresties. You have any Cresties?
I don't, but I'm going to be getting Cresties very soon. That's on the next, I would say that's going to be the next species that we start working with over here.
Nice. Well, thank you again for coming on tonight, man. And we'll definitely be talking about, part 2.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you for having me. And you should definitely make a trip out to Tucson sometime. Come handpick some leopard geckos. I'll hook you up.
Definitely. Have a good night.
You too, brother. Have a wonderful rest of your night.